there, and thanks for joining me for the Neighborhood Level Program Maddie's Talk. I'm April Moore, the Engagement Manager at Austin Animal Center, located in Austin, Texas. And if you think you're hearing a little chirping birds joining us this talk, you'd be right. Please excuse my baby chickens. They decided to wake up a little early from nap time, so hopefully they'll quiet down for us. So the Austin Animal Center is an open intake municipal shelter serving the nation's largest no-kill community. With a population of about 1.2 million people and an intake per capita rate of 1.3 pets per 1,000 residents, we provided sheltering services for a little over 16,000 dogs and cats last year alone. As an organization, we know that our ability to sustain the level of life-saving that we do is dependent upon the success of our programs and our ability to build capacity outside of our shelter walls. With limited resources and a city that continues to experience a significant population growth, we have to be committed to evaluating and evolving our program model. For over a decade, I served as a field services supervisor for the animal protection team. Now, this is a team that has been committed to engagement-based approach to field services delivery for years. But like many other programs have experienced, our team fell short of our goals related to pet retention and reunification in certain areas of our community because our model just wasn't working. During a conversation with my daughter, she was acting as a junior animal protection officer for the Take Your Kid to Work Adventure Day. She said, with a clarity that really only comes from viewing the world without a lifetime of experience-laden filters, that she knew exactly what we needed if we wanted to build better relationships with our community and build capacity. She said something to the effect of, if you want to help people and animals, then you're going to need an ice cream truck because it gets really hot here, and that's what they're going to want to stay cool in the summer. Pretty simple, right? Connect people by providing a service they want. If we wanted to build relationships and promote the human-animal bond within our community, then we needed to learn how to evolve our model in a way that was meaningful and impactful to those we serve. Neighborhood Level Program was born of this same idea. As a dual jurisdictional program serving the city of Austin and Travis County, we serve a primarily urban and suburban population, with some pockets of rural communities spread throughout. But as factors such as population increase and evolving economy apply pressures, we see ever-changing demographics, which is leading to cultural change in some areas of our community. With all that said, if we want to figure out how to stay relevant to our community, where do we start? With limited resources, we had to start small. And we did so by identifying the neighborhoods that presented the greatest need. Our intake data analysis, broken down by zip code, revealed to us that 9 zip codes out of the 74 zip codes that we serve contributed to over 50% of our dog intake population. That's about 12% of all of our zip codes, and that's 26% of the land area of our entire jurisdiction. We found that some of these zip codes experienced an intake per capita at a rate that's 3 and 4 times higher than the jurisdictional average. But that's not all. These same locations experience lower than jurisdictional average reclamation rates and experience increased calls for service. And it seemed that there were limited to no pet-related resources in close proximity to many of these neighborhoods, that perhaps they existed in pet resource deserts. Data mapping was an important tool for us to identify call and intake clusters. An overlay of these two specific data points enabled us to take a more granular look at specific neighborhoods and thereby informing our decision around locations to focus our limited resources in. By and large, these communities shared the following commonalities: higher than jurisdictional average intake per capita, lower than jurisdictional average reclamation rate, high levels of call for service, and limited access to pet-related resources, such as access to basic animal care services. Now, connecting to the identified communities was going to be dependent upon our ability to build trust and remain present. What this meant is that we wanted people on our team who were people. We wanted to hire our team members for their soft skills. We wanted people that possessed and demonstrated the ability to build rapport. We wanted people that possessed a non-judgmental attitude. We wanted people that had the ability to empathize. And we wanted people who were trustworthy. But they also needed to understand the difference between engagement and outreach. For many years, and in some instances nearly a decade, we delivered outreach services to specific areas within our community, and we'd made assumptions about what particular communities needed without considering what they felt they needed or how they wanted to be connected with. An engagement-based approach is about positioning yourself as a partner in the community in order to gain a deeper understanding of each community's unique needs. With a team of empathetic, trustworthy, non-judgmental problem solvers, our neighborhood-level program team set out to engage our identified neighborhoods in conversations that were aimed at identifying the community and individual barriers to pet retention and identifying opportunities to connect them to our services in a more meaningful way. And there's a great video I want to show you about this.
Records show a pilot program designed to cut down on stray animals in Austin may be working.
The number of animal service calls to the city is down after a $1 million grant program launched 6 months ago. KXAN's Kylie McGivern rode along today with those leading the effort to see how they're making progress.
Well, 78724 we're at right now, I kind of created a list of, resources that they had compared to other zip codes, and there's almost nothing.
The zip code is one of 3 identified between East Austin and Del Valley, where the shelter takes in about 3 times the average number of animals.
Access to resources, a lot of transportation issues.
For Chris Tulowetsky, a meeting with Johnny Morris is what the program is all about.
It was 2 of them getting out, this one and that one, them 2 right there.
It's about figuring out what's separating people from their pets. Recently, Morris's dog showed up at the shelter after escaping through the fence. Tulowetsky was able to bring Rex home.
To be honest, if he wouldn't have came, I wouldn't have had no idea where he was.
And help fix the problem.
We put these on these zip ties.
The Austin Animal Center says boots on the ground is how they're making breakthroughs.
The more pets we can get back home again, the more resources we have to spend on the animals that really, truly don't have a family.
The program has provided pop-up microchip clinics in needy neighborhoods, spay and neuter vouchers, and an opportunity to educate and connect people with pet services.
But I really appreciate what they've done for me because I love my dogs. I done had them all since they were babies.
Kylie McGivern, KXAN News.
For Johnny Morris, our team commitment to being present and information sharing and problem solving through animal-related barriers meant preserving that human-animal bond. Building programs that mattered meant meeting people where they were at. Now, some of the things that we learned were that we were challenged with building strong relationships within certain areas of our jurisdiction. We found that community members oftentimes would seek information from their local businesses or recreation centers or from one another. So it was imperative that we find a way to be present. For our animal protection team, what this looked like was animal protection officers spending 6 months in one area. That gave them the opportunity to build relationships with families and local businesses and really connect to the community that they're seeking to serve. We learned what we suspected was in fact true. Pet resource deserts do exist. And they exist where people experience some of the greatest challenges to pet retention. And we learned that transportation and sometimes time are barriers. We learned what our community values. And then we developed a strategy to deliver animal-related services to them in a way that was more meaningful. What this looked like in one Northeast Austin neighborhood was a fair. We collaborated with the local recreation center and hosted a pet-centric resource fair. But we didn't fill the gymnasium with a host of animal-related organizations. We invited community partners that already had established relationships within this community that we were seeking to connect with. And this looked like partnering with organizations such as the local nonprofit that works to create a safe environment for youth to explore expression through art-based learning. These types of partnerships mattered because it enabled us to connect with our focus audience in a way that we've never been able to in the past. We increased the number of free microchip events we hosted, and we equipped our officers with the skills and resources needed to administer microchips in the field. And what we've experienced in one of our focus committees is an increase in return in fields of over 25%. But remember, we also wanted to develop strategies to support the creation of a meaningful service delivery model that promoted pet retention and reunification. So we asked our animal protection officers to collect a little data when completing return in fields. Through this, we learned that most dogs are found 3 to 4 houses down from where they actually live. Now, if you think about your own neighborhood, do you know your neighbors 3 or 4 houses down? Well, for most people that we queried, the answer was no. We also asked our Pet Resource Center team to start collecting information from our found pet finders. We wanted to know, among other things, was it found in your neighborhood? And the answer was about 53%. We wanted to know, have they ever seen that animal before? And about 89% of them said no. But given what we learned from our animal protection team, this didn't necessarily come as a big surprise. So when we take a collective look at what we've learned through our engagement work in the neighborhood level program team and the data collected by animal protection and our Pet Resource Center teams, we can safely say a few things. Thing one, some of the communities that experience the highest instances of intake per capita are also primarily dependent on local businesses or organizations, places like their libraries, their churches, their recreation centers, as well as word of mouth to receive information. Thing two, over half of the strays presented at our shelter were likely found in their neighborhood, perhaps even only a few houses down from where they live. And thing three, transportation is a barrier, but so might be time and traffic. With this in mind, we developed the grassroots-esque Missing My People campaign, a program aimed at promoting pet retention and breaking through barriers to reunification. Again, we want to meet people where they are, as well as maintain our relevancy in the community. Our program should align with our community's expectations. Because 70% of our dogs at the shelter present as strays, and we know that 9 zip codes make up over half of our intake, and we learned through our engagement work that significant barriers exist around transportation and an individual's ability to connect with our services. It makes a lot of sense to evolve our programming in a way that works to break through those barriers and help animals get back home. For the neighborhood level program team, this looks like continuing to build relationships with social organizations and businesses, partnering with them to promote pet retention and reunification, and to share messaging. For the Missing My People campaign, we want to advertise our stray pets that come in from our focus areas in relevant ways within the first 48 hours of their arrival at our shelter, be it through Craigslist postings or door-to-door flyering. We know that this has had a notable effect on our reclamation rate, as well as adoptions in these areas, which was quite the unintended consequence. As of early May 2019, the neighborhood level program team has posted flyers for about 67 dogs, with 7 of those animals returning home to their owners and 27 achieving new homes through adoption. Now, this team has also posted about 100 animals to our local Craigslist, with 18 of those returning home to their owners and an additional 30 achieving new homes through adoption. Now, I realize that these numbers may not elicit a wow, but if you consider that these are animals that are coming from the areas within our community that face the greatest barriers to pet retention, even one of these animals making it back home is success. Because aligning program and processes with community expectations is imperative to achieving success in our community, we remain committed to continued evaluation and program evolution. It's through this commitment that we ensure that we're providing sheltering to only those animals in greatest need of sheltering services, and that we are working to achieve live outcomes at a rate that outpaces our intake. And all of this matters because of community members like Johnny Morris who love their pets. Well, thank you for joining me for this talk. I hope you enjoyed it. And a very special thank you to Maddie's Fund, as all of this would not be possible without you.